Hey, Pete here for Studio Live today. Now, about a month ago, I showed you this little beauty here, which is my Lenovo ThinkPad E580. And since then, I've had a lot of folks asking me, how's it going? Is it living up to the expectations that I had? And what sort of performance am I getting out of it? So in this video, I'm going to be revisiting my new laptop and giving you my take on some of the pros and cons and what my verdict is on this particular machine. Let's go. Okay, before we get started, a quick disclaimer. If you're after a whole bunch of charts and graphs and stats and technical information about this laptop, well, this is probably not the review for you. However, if you just want the opinion of a normal dude that just wants a laptop to get his day-to-day work done, then stick around, because what I'm going to do is I'll actually turn it on this time, and I'll go through some of the pros and cons that I've found with this laptop and my verdict as to whether you should shell out the cash and pick one up yourself. Okay, so here we go. Now, the first thing you've probably noticed here is that there are quite a few fingerprints. This matte finish is really nice, but it does attract fingerprints fairly badly. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you want a pristine finish. I've literally just wiped this over before this, and it's still not looking that great. So yes, it's going to pick up a few fingerprints. If that's something that matters to you, maybe keep that in mind straight up front. And there you go, there is our nice 15-inch IPS display, which actually looks really nice. The brightness and contrast on there is really good, and I had someone leave some comments saying that they'd heard some bad things about this screen. I've had nothing but good times with it. I can't really show you here because I don't want to move the camera, but the viewing angle is not great, so if you get yourself over to the side, over here, you're not going to be able to see as good an image. But again, when was the last time you were using a laptop on an angle? You're going to be directly in front of it, so it's not a big deal. And the thickness, or lack thereof, the thinness of this top layer is really nice. It's nice and weighted, and yet it's really thin and also really strong. So I think I mentioned in the last video, the reason I like the old IBM ThinkPads and now this Lenovo is that they're built like a tank and they're really solid. And this one, I've used it around, out and about quite a bit, and it has been rock solid. Anyway, let's move on from here. We'll log in, and I did elect to get the one with, it was $22 extra for this fingerprint sensor, but it is so cool because just tapping on that and we are straight in without entering a password or anything, using just my digit. So that's very cool. Here it is in all its glory then. So let's start with, we talked about the screen a little bit there, the screen and the webcam. The webcam is pretty standard. I haven't used it a whole lot, to be perfectly honest, but it's a standard webcam in there. The screen, the 15-inch IPS display, has been really nice, and as I said, just playing back videos and doing a few things on here. I'll cut to the chase and tell you that I haven't done a whole lot of audio or video on this yet. I'm still over on my desktop for most of that, so I do need to put this through its paces. So there may be a part 3 coming up where I take this and throw Premiere Pro and Reaper and some other apps at it, but for the time being, I've done a lot of sort of playback and I guess consumption, as well as using Word, Excel, all of that sort of thing. So in terms of performance, it has been really good. I mean, it's rocking the RX Radeon 2GB graphics chip, so my children are very happy. They've been playing Roblox on this, and they've been telling me that they prefer playing it on this now over the desktop computer because the graphics are so smooth and it handles the 3D really nicely. So yes, if you're grabbing a laptop and you've got children, might be something to keep in mind. I don't do a whole lot of gaming, but from what I've seen on it, it would handle it pretty well, keeping in mind that it's not a gaming laptop, it's built for business and other applications. Anyway, we'll move on from that. The processor itself, the 8th gen Core i7 with 16 gig of RAM, is just ridiculous. So it is so fast at loading applications and switching between apps. Of running multiple different applications on here, it's had no problems whatsoever. So I can't recommend highly enough in terms of the specs. Okay, let's jump into Chrome here. Now, whenever you play video on a camera and then upload it to YouTube, you're not going to get an idea of what this screen actually looks like, but I know some people have asked, so let's just play back a bit of a video here, and to avoid copyright, we'll play back this guy's channel video.
Hey there, my name is Pete Johns.
I'm a musician, I'm an audio enthusiast, and I'm a music educator, and I run the website, blog, YouTube channel, Studio Live Today, which is aimed at helping you create your best music, and it doesn't... Okay, that's enough from that guy. So, again, don't look at this screen quality and say, hey, that's the screen quality, because again, you're watching my camera through my camera and video that's been recorded on my camera. Anyway, it looks a lot brighter through the viewfinder and in the camera here, but the actual colors and the display here is actually a lot more subtle than that. But yeah, it looks really nice. You might have heard the sound quality there, and this is where we're going to start getting into some of the things I'm not super impressed with. So, in fact, let's go over and we'll play some actual music track, and again, for copyright reasons, let's grab this guy's music and just have a listen. And again, you're listening to the microphone that I'm recording here, not it live, but you'll hear that it's quite trebly and not the greatest quality speakers. Let's play this now. Intoxication has got me under somebody's wicked little spell. Anticipation of what it could be has got me going. So you can hear there that it's a bit echoey, a bit reverby. The speakers here are underneath, and depending on the surface that you have it on, the audio quality is not fantastic. So that's one of the disappointments. If you're after a laptop that really sort of packs a punch in terms of speakers, and again, I've got to keep stressing that this is designed for work, for getting stuff done. Now, don't stress if you're an audio guy, because you might be saying, hey, you're an audio guy and you bought a laptop with crappy speakers. Well, most of the time I'm using headphones or I'm using an audio interface. And if you're plugging in a USB audio interface into here, then obviously that's what's going to be used, not the actual speakers on the computer. So you don't need to worry too much about that if you are concerned about what that might mean. So let's take the screen back to black again there, because you're getting a very close-up sort of the brightness of the screen is actually making the keyboard look pretty bad, which it shouldn't, because this keyboard is actually beautiful. So one of the reasons that I really like the old IBMs and this one now is that the action on these keys is just right. They're not too springy, but then also like not too high and raised. So typing on this took a little bit of adjustment, because I actually use the this one over here on my desktop, the Microsoft Natural Curve Wave that really needs a clean keyboard. So adjusting back to a straight keyboard's taken a little bit of time, but I've got there. The one thing that is a little bit strange on this, I don't particularly love, is this function key down here, down in the bottom left, because the control I use with my left little finger. If you're doing a lot of Control C and Control V, I'm having to teach myself to bring that across there and not hit that, because I was forever not getting things copied and pasted to my clipboard because I was pressing that function key. But not something that it will take me very long to get used to. In fact, I'm already pretty much used to it now, so it's no problem. The numpad over here, I love having a numpad on a laptop. I miss having a numpad when I'm using smaller Ultrabooks and other laptops, so having a numpad on my laptop was something I really, really wanted. Okay, in terms of the trackpad here, the trackpad's big and nice. I don't use it a whole lot because I love me some little nub action here. So I use this little nub to navigate around, and I just find it so much easier to just click around and find what I want and click on it. Some people don't particularly love it, but you can disable it if you don't like it. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the nub there. But the buttons here, yeah, all fine, all in the right place and easy to access and easy to use. The little arrow keys down here are probably a little bit small, as well as like your right control and alt. So they're the only things that, again, they've probably had to sacrifice on space for some of those keys, but the rest of the keyboard and the layout is actually really nice. Okay, let's talk connectivity. So first and probably most important thing to connect is the power adapter. This is a nice little 65 watt adapter Lenovo that comes with it. You might notice here that the adapter there is very unique. It's a Lenovo proprietary little plug, similar-ish to I guess a micro USB or mini USB, but like a lightning cable, it actually can plug in either way. So that's a plus. The negative with that is that it is not compatible with a lot of the more universal adapters. So for instance, I'm looking into docking stations at the moment, and none of the docking stations apart from the Lenovo ones actually support this particular type of tip. So again, if you're looking for universal compatibility in terms of the power, you may want to consider that before you go ahead and buy this one. Okay, so let's have a look at the side of this sucker and some of the ports we have over here. So on the left-hand side here, going from left to right, we have our power socket here for our power adapter we just talked about. We have an HDMI input, and this is output, sorry, and that is a full-size HDMI. So unlike some of the Ultrabooks that have the mini HDMI that you then have to convert, no, you can just plug directly from HDMI. We've got our two USB 3 super speed ports there, and our multi-purpose headphone, microphone, everything phone kind of jack there, our 3.5mm jack to plug in a pair of headphones. Let's flip around to the other side now, and here is the right-hand side of the device. And again, going from left to right, we have a micro SD card slot here. So no SD card slot, more on that in a moment. Another USB port, and a full-size network port as well, which has already proved itself super handy because, yeah, again, you don't have to carry around a dongle, and I was at the ice hockey rink where I do the announcing and realised I needed to hook up to the network and went, oh, I really hope it, yes, it does. Okay, we've got our network socket there, so we can plug in a standard RJ45. Wow, it's been a long time since I've thought about network cables. And then, of course, the little Kensington lock nodule that you have on all of these. Around to the back, we have nothing. So why am I showing you that? We have a cool little red eye, which is cool or perhaps a little bit creepy, depending what you think about it. But I actually like that. They've just, I don't know, it's got a bit of a sense of humour when sort of people look at the back of that. And I was a bit worried at the hockey that, you know, the players would be skating past going, ooh, there's a weird red light that's shining at me. But no one seemed to really care. But yeah, I don't know. I like it. Your views may be different to that, but yeah, it's a nice little decal that we have there. All right, we'll turn back around here. On the bottom, we've just got some ventilation there and our access ports to get into this. There's little reason to actually do anything or to open anything up these days with these sort of devices, unless you're installing a RAM chip or a new hard drive or something like that. So you're not usually going to have to get your hands dirty and get under the hood there. And again, I talked about this before, it's pretty hefty, pretty weighty. It's got this nice rubberized bar at the bottom there, which means it sits nicely, and the rubberized feet down here, so it sits nicely on the desk, and that does help avoid any vibrations or anything bad going on when you're popping it down. You've got no metal or plastic on any other surfaces, just the rubber feet there, which are very nice. But again, you can see all of these fingerprints that are coming on board here. Now, before we move on from the connections, while we're over here, I did mention this micro USB, and that was a little bit of an issue for me because I use a digital SLR camera that uses SD cards. I didn't really think that through particularly well because now I can't actually put my cards directly into the laptop. However, over here, it was just a case of buying myself one of these, which is just a Kingston USB adapter. So this just is a USB, and it's got micro SD, all the different types on the back there, and it's nice and, you know, it's completely solid stainless steel and portable and all that sort of jazz. So yes, I do have to carry with me one particular adapter for that purpose, but yeah, it's not a game changer. It just means that if I'm out and about and I've just got my laptop, I have to make sure I have this with me, or if someone hands me an SD card or I'm shooting some video and I want to edit it, I'm going to be a bit out of luck. And I mentioned the full-size HDMI port, which I'm happy about. However, again, I didn't think things through particularly well because you might have noticed that over here and here, you can't see it now, but I have a dual monitor display. I've got two 24-inch monitors that I use with my desktop. And with a desktop, that's fine. Most of them have two, if not three, outputs that you can send it to. With this one, we only have the HDMI, which means that I can use the one screen, I can use the ThinkPad screen and one other screen, one other desktop screen, but I can't use two external screens at the same time, which is a little bit of a bummer because I do like to do that. Now, you might be saying, yes, you can use a docking station to do that. There are issues with that in terms of the actual graphics adapter because the docking stations use their own graphics adapters to send the video over USB. Won't go into a whole bunch of detail with that, except that to say that if you are really keen to make sure you can have dual external displays, then this may be something you need to think about before picking up the E580. Okay, a couple of more quick things before we finish up here, because I know a few people have been asking about this. Battery life is really solid on this, so I've been getting probably about 4 to 5 hours on average for just normal use. If I've got it out and about, if I'm doing some heavier lifting, it'll be closer to probably 3 hours. But yeah, no problems at all with the battery life. And the one other thing that I will mention here is noise. So it's quiet right now. You can hear it's making zero sound. When it kicks in, so when you start doing something with some heavy processing, it will kick on the fan, which is below, as you saw before, and it does make a little bit of noise. I can't really think of a way to make it do it right now to show you how loud it is. It's not distractingly loud, but if I was recording audio, it would definitely be audible, but most of the time it'll be only when I'm playing a game or editing video or doing some sort of rendering or encoding that's going to happen, in which case I don't really need it to be quiet. And again, it's not distracting. It's not like it's a plane taking off like some of the big gaming laptops that you can see. But another thing to keep in mind, if you want ultra quiet, you probably need something with lower performance, less fans in it, and more SSDs, because this does have a spinning hard drive as well as the SSD. It's got a 1 terabyte spinning hard drive, and it does have those fans in there to cool it down when the processor starts kicking into high gear. So what is my verdict on the Lenovo ThinkPad E580? Should you consider this one? I think yes. If I had to rate this on a 1 to 10 kind of scale, I'd probably give it an 8, which is pretty good because I'm pretty darn picky. So what I love about this is the screen. I love the keyboard. I love the nub to navigate with. Good connectivity with those 3 USB 3 ports, which is really important. If you're doing a lot of video and audio stuff, you need to plug in a lot of devices. What I'm not crazy about is the sound quality, the fact that it doesn't have a standard SD card, the fact that it only has one HDMI out, and most of those were things I probably should have thought about before I actually bought it, so it's not really its fault. However, all in all, yep, a really solid performer. If you can pick this up at a decent price, I definitely recommend it. It's not going to be the gaming laptop, or it's not going to, blow you away in terms of its graphics performance. If that's what you're looking for, you probably need to go higher end. But if you want a rock solid workhorse that's just going to perform for you, as I have found this has been and hope it will continue to, then I think that you can do a lot worse than picking up a Lenovo ThinkPad E580. I hope you found this useful. If you are considering this, or if you just like watching guys talk about laptops, then that's fine too. If you've got any other questions about this laptop, about anything to do with audio, video, and all the rest of the things we cover here on the channel, then drop some comments down below, and I will see you on the next video. Oh, sorry, I was just playing with my nub. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, you can click on the Studio Live icon over on the right. And there are also 2 other videos that you can check out in the rectangles down below. You can also go to studiolivetoday.com for more ramblings and shenanigans. Thanks again for watching. Back to my nub.